Filipina women should think twice before dating these men. This video is predicated on a very, very untalked subject. Here you have a guy, a Western guy, talking to Filipinas because I do want to protect them from potential bad boys. Typically, I protect the Western man. I think it should be also time now to protect Asian women because there's a lot of guys that overpromise and underdeliver. And I don't think that is the right way to go about a relationship. If a guy is a player, he better be open about it, and he better not talk around the bush. He better be totally transparent about his actions before he commits to them, because if not, it's pretty deceptive. What I mean by that is, right, just having clear expectations and delivering on them. The first type of man you should think twice before dating is, of course, the sex addict. Isn't that a surprise? I don't think it is, actually. The sex addict is quite common in Southeast Asia. You know, he exists in Thailand, he exists in Vietnam, he exists in Cambodia, he exists in the Philippines. And the sex addict is a man who typically tells you a story that is actually different from what he will do. And what I mean by that is that a guy would tell you, you know, hey, let's hang out. And he'd probably tell you, hey, you know what? I want a long-term relationship. I'm here for the long term. I don't think about going anywhere else. I want to build my life in this place. And wherever the place is, if that place is in Cebu, Manila, Negros Oriental, Leyte, Bohol, Palawan, wherever that place is, he's going to tell you, hey, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be around. Don't worry about me. The problem here is that you don't really know that. Words are cheap, actions are more expensive. And so the only way for you to really know if a guy is legitimate or not is by waiting it out. And I know that sounds like a horrible statement because, you know, it could take months or even years to find the answer to that question. But if a guy is legitimate and if a guy tells you that he wants you for the long term, then he should be willing to wait to have sex with you. Because if not, it's almost likely that this guy is just a sex addict. Because a guy who really wants a long-term relationship should be able to wait for at the very least a couple of weeks, maybe even a couple of months before he has sex. And that sounds horrible for me to say because there's a lot of guys thinking, now, hey, you know, I want to go to the Philippines, you know, I want to get laid. Look, if communication is clear, if you want a short-term relationship, that is all right, you know, if it happens like this. But if you have to lie in order to get the girl to your place, whatever you may promise that you don't deliver, you have to think about your spirit here, because it's very bad to lie just to have sex. Because at the end of the day, if a person gets hurt, if a Filipina gets hurt, I know it's not bad for you. You think it's not bad for you, but it's bad for her because it hurts her self-esteem. It hurts her faith because at the end of the day, she wants a long-term relationship. Otherwise, she would not have said yes to you. And that's what you need to understand. There is plenty of women in all countries that are okay having a one-night stand or that are okay having a casual relationship. And that's fine. Then find these type of women. Don't choose a woman who puts her whole heart, her whole faith into this relationship just so that you can cut her loose a couple weeks later. That is not cool, because if the contingency is for you to lie in order for you to have sex, that is horrible. So Filipinas, for you to really know if a guy is serious or not, only time will tell. But what you want to do is say no to him. You know, if he asks you, hey, go to my place, you know, go to my place to watch a movie, go to my place to have a couple of drinks, go to my place, do whatever. If you want to have a long-term relationship and you want to make sure that the guy who you're dating right now is legitimately interested in you, then the best thing that you can do is say no. Be patient. Because if the guy sticks around, couple dates, still hangs out with you, still goes out with you to eat, still goes out with you to do things, and he's happy, that's when you can be more sure. I'm not saying it's a guarantee, it's just what I think. You can be more sure that you're dealing with a legitimate guy than if it happens right away. That's something for you to consider. So really think about it, you know. See if he's patient. See if he can wait. See if you say no, hey, is this guy still interested in me or not? Another type of guy that you probably want to avoid is the alcoholic, or should I say the extreme alcoholic, because alcohol is not necessarily a bad thing. You know, it's okay to have a drink here and there, because at the end of the day, alcohol, you know, it's a social thing. You know, it's great to go out, have a beer. It's great to get drunk at times, you know, if you have something to celebrate or you're in the mood, that's fine. But if a guy needs alcohol every single day to feel happy or to get rid of his problems or so he can be mean to you, that is not a positive thing at all. Because at the end of the day, you know, if a guy drinks and it affects his mood and that affects your relationship because he's mean to you, because he hits you, because he verbally abuses you, physically abuses you, spiritually abuses you, if all these things happen as a result of alcohol, then you should think twice about this man, because you deserve better. If you're a good person and you treat him well, then why would you be with somebody who doesn't respect you and somebody who uses alcohol to get rid of his problems? Well, that's what he thinks at least. He's actually creating more and more problems. Think about that, because alcohol is not a bad thing. You know, if you have a drink here and there, it's fine. If a guy drinks and he's still a good person, then that's also fine. But if a guy drinks a lot, it affects his finances, and especially if he abuses you, then you should better move on. Guys who have kids with different women. Now you might think, well, I was married and didn't work out, I divorced, you know, we had kids, whatever. That is perfectly fine. You know, if it happened once, okay, you know, that's perfectly fine, you know. But if a guy was married 3 times and if a guy, you know, has like 6 kids with 3 different women, you know, really think twice about that, because that shows something about the person. You know, if a person is not good at relationships, then that person probably produces children all over the place, you know, without considering the consequences of his actions. It's not a bad thing if you are married and you divorced, you had kids. No, I'm not saying that. You know, things happen, you know, poo-poo hits the fan. But if a guy was married 3 or 4 times and he has so many children, you know, it's not always the other person. You know, it might be the other person, but, you know, if it happens once, it's an accident. If it happened twice, you know, it happened again. If it happens 3 times, it's a pattern. There's a pattern there, right? So I'm not saying that, you know, it's the worst thing ever, but what I am saying is that be careful. By taking a look at his marital past, you can draw a lot of conclusions. Once or twice, okay. 3 or 4 times, definitely be careful. If it happened once, all right, it's an accident. If it happened twice, it happened twice, all right. If it happened 3 times, there is a pattern there, you know, there is a distinct pattern there. I mean, things happen for a reason, right? We can all have bad luck, you know, we all make wrong decisions, so nobody's perfect. But if it happened a couple of times, then you gotta think twice about them. What other man should best be avoided? Leave a comment below and let us know. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. I'm uploading new videos on digital nomad locations, travel updates, and investment advice several times a week right now. And if you got some more time left, check out these videos.